Alright, so before we start writing code in SASS, we need to install and prepare some tools which are modern web browser and code editor. Actually, I'm sure that you already have installed your favorite web browser and code editor, but anyway, I will show you how to do that. So throughout this course, we're going to use mostly Google Chrome, which is one of the best web browsers, but also when we start building our second project, we will work in Mozilla Firefox. The reason is that our second project will be built based on CSS Grid, and Firefox has the best developer tools for this CSS module. So I recommend to download those two web browsers. I'm not going to go through this process because it's really simple. Alright, next tool that we need is code editor. Throughout this course we're going to use brackets. Actually, to be honest, my favorite code editor for now is VS Code. We used this editor in our other courses. The reason why we decided to use brackets is that at this point VS Code has some problems regarding compiling SAS code. Sometimes you need to save code for several times and it may cause some errors. Actually, it's not really a big issue, but anyway we decided to use different code editor in order to avoid this problem. Brackets is absolutely enough for this course, so you can visit brackets.io, download and use it. Alright, last thing that I want to do in this video is to create new folder on desktop. Let's call it SASS Introduction. Okay, so actually if you have prepared all of these tools, then you're ready to go. So see you in the next video. Alright, so as we said in previous video, we have to start writing SAS code, but before that we need to set up some tools. Actually, there are several ways to install SAS. We're going to use Node.js and one of its packages called Node.js, which is one of the most popular today. I would like to say that installation process might be a little bit complicated and confusing for you because you may see and use some tools that you have never used before, but I just recommend to follow us. It's not mandatory to know and understand in depth all of those things. We're going to prepare our working environment, and after this video there won't be necessary any other setup or complex installation. Alright, so before we start the installation process, I'm going to talk a little about Node.js. Node.js is JavaScript runtime environment. Before creating it, we were able to run JavaScript applications only in browser, but now using Node, we can run them on the server as well. If you are not familiar with JavaScript or Node.js, again, you don't have to worry because we are not going to use them. I mean, we won't write any JavaScript code. So we need Node.js because we should use npm, which is Node Package Manager. It is a simple command line program which allows us to install and manage some packages. In this case, we need to use it to install Node SAS package. So first of all, we need to download and install Node.js, which will automatically include Node Package Manager. You need to visit a website called nodejs.org. Here you can see two different versions of Node. First one is recommended for most users. As for second one, it's the newest version with latest features, but it's still in sort of testing mode. So you can download it and install, which is really simple process. Actually, for now those are current versions, but when you watch this lecture, they might be slightly different, but it's not a problem at all. Alright, I'm not going to install Node because I of course already have it. So let's go ahead, pause the video, download Node.js and install it. Okay, once you've finished installation process, let's go ahead and check how successful it was. For that, I'm going to open command line. On Windows, you need to search for command prompt. So here it is. Let's click here and open it. Besides that, you're able to press Windows key plus R, then type CMD, and you will get terminal. In case of Mac, you can press Command plus space and then search for terminal. Alright, in order to check if Node.js is installed, we need to type here node, then -- version. If it gives us some version, it means that Node.js is successfully installed. Also, let's check if npm is installed as well. For that, we have to type npm -- version. So as you see, we have here its version, so it's installed successfully as well. Alright, now we need to create our working environment. On desktop, I have created folder called SASS introduction. Let's open it in brackets. First of all, I'm going to create index.html file. Then also we need folder for CSS. And then inside it, create CSS file. Let's call it main.css. So this file will be linked to index.html file, but we won't be writing any code in here. We will write code in SCSS files, which then will be transpiled in that CSS file, and then browser will read it and output on the page. So let's create basic HTML structure. I'm going to use here emmet, place exclamation mark, then press tab. So we have here basic HTML document. Let's create link for CSS file, open link tag, and inside hReference attribute indicate path of CSS file. We have folder called CSS, in which we have main.css file. Alright, next we need to create another folder for SASS. Let's call it SCSS, because as we said, we're going to use SCSS extension. Inside that folder, create file and call it main.scss. Alright, so this is the file where we will write SASS code. Let's, for testing purposes, write some styles. Select body element and change its background color, make it red. Then run index.html file using live preview mode. So as you can see, nothing happened here. We still have here default white background. If we check main.css file, it should be empty, because for now SASS code is not transpiled into CSS. In order to achieve that, we need to install a package called Node.js, but before we do that, we have to create another file called package.json. We will do that using npm. Actually, package.json file is something like manifest for entire project. It will include some properties and values. Alright, let's create package.json file. For that, at first, we need to navigate to our working folder. It's placed on desktop, so we need to type here cd desktop, then / and then name of folder, SASS introduction. So now we are in our folder and we can create package.json file. For that, let's type in terminal npm init, and for simplicity we can use flag called --yes. Using it, we don't have to answer several default questions and file will be created directly. So here it is. Let's open it. File consists of several properties. We have here name of folder, version, and so on. Alright, next step is to install finally Node.js, which is a compiler, and it will translate SASS code into CSS. So let's type npm install, or instead of install we can use just I. Then we need -g. It allows us to install Node.js globally because it gives us ability to use this package for all other projects. Next we need to type Node.js and then press enter. This process may take a while, so you need to wait for it. Alright, so package is installed and now we need to compile SASS code into CSS. For that we need another command. Write here node.js, then -o, which stands for output. Then we need to indicate folder in which we need to happen compiling. in this case CSS. And after that, we need to indicate path for SASS file. We have folder called SCSS and then file main.scss. So if we press enter, then code for SASS file will get compiled in CSS file. If we check CSS file, then you will find that we have here same code which we wrote in SASS file. And also if we go to browser, then background color of body element will be red. So for now everything seems to be working good. Let's change background color, make it, let's say, green. Then save and check CSS file. As you see, we still have here red color. And also in browser, body element has red background. It means that code is no longer compiled because we need to do it manually. If we use here same command, actually you can do that simply using upper arrow on your keyboard, then code will be compiled and red color will be changed accordingly. Actually, using this command over and over again will be really awful, so we need something that will allow us to compile code automatically. For that, we just need to add to this command -w, which stands for watch. So on each change, it will compile code automatically. Let's change again background color, make it blue. As soon as we save file, then code will be compiled and background color will be changed. So now code is getting compiled automatically. Alright, actually we're almost done. In order to make our working process more convenient, I mean, I don't want to write this command over and over again when we start working on project. Instead of that, let's open package.json file. We have here property called scripts, in which we have test property. So we don't need it. Let's change it and write here watch. And also instead of this value, we need to insert command which we have been using in terminal. I mean node SASS -o, then CSS, and then path for SCSS file, right, SCSS/main.scss, and lastly -w. Alright, let's stop watch in terminal using Ctrl+C, then Y and enter, and finally use command npm run watch, which actually will give us the same result. Code will be compiled automatically and we won't need to use previous long command. So remember that every time when you stop working on project, I mean when you close terminal, then start it again and continue working. Let's get in our working folder, write cd desktop SASS introduction. You need to run this command, I mean npm run watch, in order to get your SASS code compiled. Alright, that's all about installation process. We are ready to go. Actually, I want to say once again that if you're not familiar with working with terminal or node, then all of those things might be a little bit complicated and confusing. But that was all about what we needed to start writing SASS code. And of course, if you have any question, then you can feel free and post it in QA section. Alright, that's it. See you in the next video.